You're watching the Stillwater Community Access Channel. Right now is Waking Up with Chad and Cynthia.
And that's why you shouldn't keep bears as pets.
Right, you are, Chad. Now, as you know, on Waking Up with Chad and Cynthia, we love to get our drink on.
Yes, we do. Which brings us to our next story.
Yes, we sent Susan Fitzgerald out into the field to teach us a little bit about our favorite drink.
Wine has been a household drink since 7000 BC, when it was first developed in China. Now places like Napa Valley have become international sensations because of the gorgeous vineyards and amazing wines that come out of the region. Every year, thousands of moms groups flock to the region to partake in the phenomenon known as self-care. Filled with lush, pristine wineries nestled in the valleys of Northern California, fit for the perfect Instagram post, Napa Valley has quickly become the wine capital of the United States. In 1976, wine from Napa Valley won blind taste tests, competing against the wines from the powerhouses of Italy and France. And almost overnight, Napa Valley was cemented as home to high-quality wine. But don't take our word for it. Meet Vivian Montgomery, VP of Sales for the wine conglomerate Vino Cattivo.
At Vino Cattivo, we pride ourselves with creating the best possible glass of wine. We believe that the plastic pouch is the best way to preserve all of the great taste that you can get.
What regions of the globe do your grapes mostly come from?
So while we're currently in Northern California, we also have wineries in South America. They actually have quite a growing wine industry that we really are getting a lot of labor there, and it's really been great for our company.
What are some of the things that are done on the vineyards to get the grapes ready to be turned into wine?
Well, the workers that we have on our wineries are very diligent about getting the grapes ready to harvest. They work throughout the growing season, making sure that they're just at the peak of perfection so that the next time someone's having their bachelorette party or a wedding, they always have the right flavor of wine, and it's just amazing for them.
Are there a lot of workers on the vineyards?
Yes, we have a lot of workers on the vineyards, although most are just contracted for the growing and harvesting seasons, but they really do enjoy it, working on the vineyards all the time.
Shockingly enough, this reporter found that these workers were not here to live out some fantasy. In fact, many were here to barely scrape by. Many workers have migrated from South America to send money back to their families. The long work days and low pay make it the perfect work environment for exploitable migrant labor. Given that many of those are illegal immigrants, they are forced to accept pay well below the federal minimum wage. So how do you respond to claims that your company relies on cheap, exploitable labor from illegal immigrants?
Actually, most of our workers are from the Northern California area.
Actually, 90% of Californian wine workers come from abroad. It's easy to see why most Americans don't want to work on a winery.
The workers are expected to pick about 45 clusters of grapes per minute, and in a given day, about 25 tons of grapes are picked at the winery, and workers are paid by the pound, which makes them work very hard.
All of this for 10 hours in this heat?
Don't worry, they get 15-minute breaks every once in a while.
It appears many workers lack social mobility within the wineries. The low pay keeps them there, stuck in a perpetual state of picking grapes.
Now, if you're thinking that there are bad working conditions here at Vino Cattivo, you really have to think that it's really a lot worse in South America.
In fact, in order to compete with the prices of domestic wine, like Trader Joe's $2 chuck, South American wine's existence rests on even cheaper labor. As if the labor conditions weren't bad enough, the environmental implications of wine grown in South America can be just as bad.
Growing grapes is a lot of work, and they require a lot of water to make them palatable enough to become amazing wine. A lot of water is used, so we have to be careful not to take too much water from the lakes and rivers around the vineyards. But with EPA mandated laws, we are not allowed to dump water used in the winemaking process either, which is helping the environment a lot.
Vino Cattivo's other wineries, based in Chile, have actually gotten in trouble with environmental groups for doing just that. Since they are not subject to U.S. environmental standards, environmental degradation is ignored if profits increase.
Now, in the past, we have not had the most amazing environmental record. However, we have found that moving to organic farming techniques have increased the yields of our vineyards, and these techniques allow us to grow the grapes in a more efficient manner while lowering the harm to the surrounding environment. However, with dramatic climate changes in some regions, we still have had to stop growing in certain vineyards, and as climate change continues to play a role in our winemaking, some of our wineries will be forced to close in South America.
Vino Cativo has adapted to the changes in the wine market and climate, mirroring the changes found in the wine industry in the past century. Richard Merlot, an acclaimed wine historian, is the chief expert on this topic.
Thank you, Susan. So we've really noticed a trend recently where the wine industry has shifted from old world to new world wines. Italian wine was seen the best the money could buy. But ever since Napa Valley upset the wine industry with its 1976 wins, it has proven that a high-quality glass of wine can be grown elsewhere. We've seen unexpected countries like Uruguay, Argentina, and Chile develop wine industries of their own. Now, grape favors Mediterranean climates, which makes more coastal regions perfect for wine production. And the industry also favors high altitudes, so hilly areas within these regions are perfect for growing.
That is very interesting, Richard. Are there any facts that you have about these wine-producing countries in South America, like Uruguay?
Well, as a matter of fact, Susan, Uruguay is the only country in the Americas where the Tannat grape is found. This has led many wine producers in that area to strategize producing wines with this grape using state-of-the-art viticultural technology. Now, many markets have opened up to the Uruguayan wines because of the Tannat grape, and experimental consumers have really grown particularly interested in the New World wines.
So would you say New World wines are upsetting the industry?
New World wine is now recognized as a force to be reckoned with. In 2001, Argentina produced 1.6 billion liters of wine, making it the 5th largest producer of wine worldwide for that year alone. Now, Argentina has the oldest wine culture outside of Europe, and it is the 6th largest consumer of wine worldwide. Argentinians consumed 33 liters per capita in 2001, which was the highest rate outside of Europe. Argentina has been able to increase their wine exports by over 92% in the last decade, and it will continue to grow.
As South America continues to grow into a major wine producer, it will have to adapt to calls for farmers' rights and sustainability. Unfortunately, until that happens, most laborers on vineyards will not have safe labor conditions and fair wages. When workers do leave vineyards, such as those in Napa Valley, often it is the result of immigration policies. Wine, as with many other agricultural industries, is largely reliant on immigrant workers for supplying labor. So the next time you uncork a bottle of wine, realize that it came at a much higher systemic cost than the $2 you dropped at Trader Joe's. So what can we as consumers do to make sure the wine we purchase is ethically sourced? First, purchase wine made in smaller scale wineries. Next, know who you are buying from. Labels can be deceiving. Oftentimes, unique sounding labels are owned by major wine companies. Next, if it sounds too good to be true, it probably is. If the wine seems too inexpensive to cover costs, know that the laborers are probably the ones suffering the consequences. Finally, make sure you are purchasing wine made from organically grown grapes. This will reduce the environmental impact your glass of wine has.
Up next, we will be hearing from Jennifer from Jefferson City Bed and Breakfast. She will be teaching us how to make the best mimosas.
We'll be right back after the break.
Down the hatches. Woo!
At Vino Cativo, we're putting our best foot forward. We don't get hung up on terms like immigration status or ethically sourced. We just care about getting you the finest glass of wine possible. Sure, we may not pamper our workers, but we surely pamper our grapes. Enjoying a stay at Vino Cativo will have you asking, do I want a cheap glass of wine or conscience? Vino Cativo Winery and Resort, a proud sponsor of Waking Up with Chad and Cynthia.